Hey everybody, Mr. Regan here, and up to now we have looked at how our missions that we just completed are helping us to explore the different types of forces that can be used to cause different velocity changes in an object. Now, this idea of using different strengths of forces to create different changes in velocity can be shown and explained using different modeling tools, and we're going to be exploring one today as we dive into how to use this force and velocity modeling tool. Now, before we get into it, a couple things that we need to be aware of. When we're done explaining this, we need to be able to understand how to use the features to infer about the force on an object and how to complete our modeling tool practice. So, we're looking at how do we use the features to infer about force, and then how do we complete our modeling tool practice. When we're done explaining this, obviously come back, identify where you're at, and obviously reach out if you have questions. So, let's go ahead and take a look. This is our modeling tool. And in this modeling tool, we can use this to infer about what sort of force is needed to create specific velocity changes. So before we dive into that, let's take a look at what the model has in its features. So starting over here on the bottom, we have our object, which is A, kind of like in our simulator. We have some different velocity tails that show whether or not an object is moving slow, medium, or fast, and in what direction. On the far right, we have our different strengths of forces, small, medium, and large. And again, they're in different directions based on where the force is exerted and applied. Up here, we have three important columns. We have the before force, the during force, and the after force. And you'll notice a few things. Number one, in the during force, we have our object, and our object has a specific velocity in a specific direction. And when we look at this, we can say that object A is moving to the right because our velocity tail is showing it on the left side moving to the right. In the during force, we have an object, and you'll notice that there's nothing in here but the object itself as of right now. And then on the far right, we have the after force. And the after force has our object, and it has a velocity over here as well. So you notice that our velocity from before has changed and become different compared to our velocity after. So we have a before and an after. We have a cause and effect. And our job is going to be to infer what kind of force and in what direction is needed in order for our velocity to go from this to this. So what cause in the force column could create this effect in the after force column? So we have to ask ourselves, okay, what direction and what velocity does our object have? Looking at the tail, looking at where it's going, and which force, small, medium, large, could create this? And from here, you'll be dragging whatever force you feel is necessary and in whatever direction you feel is necessary for this velocity to become this velocity. If you put stuff in here and you're not quite sure if that's right or whatever, you can always hit the reset and start over. So, your job is going to be to use our different features in order to complete our three different practices here to show how our before velocity is affected by a force. You have to pick which force, and how that creates our after force. So, if you have any questions, reach out. Otherwise, good luck inferring what forces we need to cause this effect.